Hi, everybody. Welcome. I've got 2:30, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with our webinar. My name is Lainey Castle. I'm the Great Stories Club Project Director here in the Public Programs Office at ALA. Happy to see that some of you have joined us for this webinar today, which is really just an informal opportunity to go over some of the grant administration logistics for the Great Stories Club. We'll be chatting for maybe 20-25 minutes, and then we want to allow ample opportunity for Q&A. So I should say most of you, the majority of you have joined us as presenters, which means that you have access to a microphone and a webcam. If you could please just keep your microphones on mute until we get to the Q&A session. That will help us just keep distractions at a minimum during the presentation part of it. And for anyone who did not join as a presenter, you will have access to the chat box and can submit your questions that way and shouldn't have to worry about muting. So to get started, I just wanted to quickly call out the grant requirements, which are so extremely basic for the Great Stories Club. We just require that you host one discussion for each one of the books that you have requested as part of your grant, that you discuss the humanities content of each book. We have the questions to support that, but you don't need to use those questions exactly. We want you to offer the programs that have been described in your proposal, and if there's some reason where you need to make any substantial changes to those program plans, you can just let us know and we can adjust things on our end. We would like you to reach at least 8. The program is for 8 to 10 readers. We know that some individual programs may have smaller number of teens despite your best efforts. I wouldn't get too hung up about that, but if you find that you're consistently offering programs for less than 8 teens, please get in touch with us so we can talk about how to support you. We want you to gift the books to teen participants to keep. If anyone is in a situation where that is not permitted with their partner organization, again, please just let us know. And then finally, that you submit a final report to ALA when you're done with your programs. The grant term officially, we made a change this time so that we could align with the school year as much as possible. So we have the full 12-month grant term, and I know many of you have your programs well underway. The final report is due 30 days after the last program that you host. So it's really going to be different for everyone participating in this cohort. Our drop dead deadline is September 30th of 2019. So if you are running your programs into next fall, that would be your final deadline. We ask that people complete their reports incrementally as your programs happen. So whenever possible, if you offer a program, you can log into the final report and just put some notes. So use a description field, which I'll show in a minute, to tell us about what happened. How did things go? What questions came up? What are people talking about? What's resonating with your readers? What kind of programs did you do? Almost use that space as a journal just to tell us about your event and to record your attendance information. Just jot that there and click save. I know not everyone has the time to work that way, but to the extent possible, it's really helpful for us in the office. And just to note that Brian is going to send out a report reminder later this summer in August, once it gets closer to the final deadline, to sort of sweep those in past the deadline, and that will have access instructions as well. So now just about accessing the final report. The URL is on the screen to get there. Brian can put that in the chat box so you have it handy. You log in with the email and the password that you used to apply for the Great Stories Club grant originally. And again, you can work on your report incrementally and return anytime. We do have a PDF version of the report so that you can kind of see it all in one place. Brian can also paste this link so that you can grab that. It's posted on our project website, I believe, and if for any reason you're just the kind of person that prefers to work in Microsoft Word, you can just send a quick email and ask us for a Word version. We can send that out to you if that's your preference. I believe this is the first final report that ALA has offered to libraries in SurveyMonkey Apply, which is different than our past in-house grant administration system. So I took some screenshots to give people an idea of what they're going to see with each step of the process. This is the landing page for the grant administration website. The login link is in the upper right-hand corner. After you log in, you'll see any and all grants that you have applied for through this system, through SurveyMonkey Apply, which we opened in May of 2018. And then for this project, the Great Stories Club, you can just click Continue to get started on your final report. Then this is what will come up next. Under your tasks, you should see the final report, and that includes a separate section which is titled Supporting Documents. You want to click where it says Final Report to get started working. This is just a side note that a lot of areas of the report you need to put some placeholder text information if you want to advance. The exception for this system is the supporting documents area. So if you're not ready to work on your final report, but you've got a photograph or a newspaper article that you wanted to affiliate with it, you can log in and go straight to reporting documents to upload that file, even if the rest of your report is blank. This is the first page inside the final report. It's a programming summary, or what we call a program log. This is the way that it looks here. It should have pre-populated information, the date and the program description especially, that you entered via your program log. That should all be pre-populated here. You can change any of that information at any time that already appears in this part of the report. You can also use the drop down that says how many programs did you offer to change the number of programs that you're going to report on. So all of this is editable. It's just displaying what you've already typed to save some time. The programming log section is all on one page. So if you're offering 15 programs, this is going to be a really long page that you need to scroll through. You can note that the scroll bar for each one of the programs, they're numbered. A little number appears at the top of each one. You can use that scroll bar to move through and see all the different columns. The description field, the area that we want you to sort of almost journal how things are going, that does not have any kind of a word limit. You may want to work in Microsoft Word if you have a longer description and paste it in there. It's totally up to you. And again, you can just save and return anytime. I should note that if you want to click next to advance to the next part of the report, you would need to put placeholder information for each one of the programs that you've indicated you're hosting. This is just an overview of the fields that are in the program summary section: date, time, location, the theme, so empathy or heroism. I know some of you are working on both. The book that you used, even if it's not reading that book directly, we want you to relate each one of your programs to a specific title, the attendance field, and then the description. So once you have completed or at least put placeholder information in your program log, the next section of the report is narrative questions. There are 6 of them in the report. It's all on one long scrolling page, and each section allows up to 600 words. So these are an overview of the questions in case anyone wants to revisit this as an archive. The goals section telling us about your collaborators, your work with your partner organization. A section about impact. This is especially important to us in an area where we ask you to share any comments that you've been able to collect from your participants and or your community members, your partner organizations. And areas for improvement. We really take this seriously, try to make changes. That is part of the reason why we are now offering 6 titles and a little bit more modular option for reading lists. That's why we aligned with the school year for this program. So we're hoping to react to your feedback in this area. Continuation, which is how, if at all, you'll sustain your programming for the young people that you're serving with this grant. And then an optional place for you to provide any additional information that you would like to share with us. So this is just how the narrative section looks inside of SurveyMonkey. As you can see, the little box for text is pretty small. So again, you may want to answer these questions in Word or another text editing program and then cut and paste into this report. And just a reminder also that you would need to type in test or just put an X or something in the text field if you would like to advance to the next section of the report. Otherwise, you'll get an error message for every one of the blank fields. The last section of the final report is about matching support. Please do this if you can. It's marked as optional, but it really helps us to hear from you. It helps us to report to our project funders and show that the support that they have invested in this project has triggered additional local support, even if that's only in the form of the time that you and your community partner invested in working on the project. You can easily report that information by estimating how many hours you worked on the grant and then multiplying that by an hourly rate. We are not looking to audit your library If you're more comfortable, you can always give us a really conservative estimate of the number of hours that you put in working on the project, but this really helps us position the project for additional support and reporting back to our funder. They care about this. So if you can do that, we appreciate it. This is how that part of the report looks in SurveyMonkey. You first indicate the number of items that you would like to report on, and then the table will show up for you to edit. And again, this part is totally optional, but you must mark as complete before reviewing and finishing your report. Then the final report, the final part of the report is what I mentioned. It's this document upload section. This is both separate and optional. And on screen are just some ideas for what you can submit here. A note that if you include photos, ALA may use them in public reports and marketing efforts, although we do try to contact the library first to let you know if we're going to use your photographs. But a note to please not share anything in this area that would be considered confidential. And this is just a preview of how the supporting documents section looks in SurveyMonkey. The review and submit button, as you'll see here on screen at the left, is going to remain grayed out until you have indicated marked as complete in the final report section above. This is just a quick note about common challenges to sort of preempt them. Any staff changes, if you have or will be leaving your position and someone else is taking over this grant, or even if you're still there but somebody else has really been doing the work and is in a better position to report on it, you can send an email to Brian. We can always switch ownership of the reporting as necessary. Partner organization challenges. I know we've been in touch troubleshooting with some of our grantees that for whatever reason have had a partner organization that dropped out on their commitment or really isn't delivering in terms of helping to recruit audiences, things like that. Please let us know if you're encountering those problems. You can contact me directly. You can also send a message to Brian. He can help get in touch with me. And a note that it's always a good resource if you are running into that to ask your colleagues on the list if they've had similar experiences and what they've done. All the advice that I give is based on what I've learned from working with all of you. So encourage you to reach out if you're facing that kind of a difficulty. Scheduling, if for any reason you really have had unanticipated problems and in order to really be able to meet the grant terms you need to report past September, please get in touch. We can always offer a deadline extension. There is another final round of grants under this NEH funding, and so we have some flexibility if you need it, if there's a reason for it. And then this is just, I guess I'm repeating the reminder, if you are dealing with low attendance, difficulty with the books, to reach out to staff and to your colleagues on the list. I think that may be my last slide. So I'm going to stop sharing and hand the microphone over to Sarah. And then we'll break for questions after Sarah's presentation.
Now I'm going to attempt to share my slides. Brian, is that right?
Did you click share at the bottom, Sarah?
Let's see. It looks different than when we did it together. So I went to display settings and I swapped the presenter view and the slideshow view. Are you guys seeing my slides at all?
Sarah, I see your slides, but I see sort of the presenter view, which shows the next slide and then any notes you have typed, which is not the worst thing.
You will see no notes. So that, how is that? Is that any better?
I think that's okay.
Okay. We will plow ahead. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Ostman. I'm the communications manager here. And I just have a couple of quick reminders for you related to promotional materials and social media and press outreach and things along those lines. And I apologize for my technology ineptitude. First, I just want to remind you all about the resources page on our Great Stories Club website. Some of you are probably very familiar with this page already. If you're not, you get to this page by going to apply.ala.org/greatstories, and then you click resources. and then you can click on the button for your theme. So you'll see down there at the bottom, empathy and what makes a hero. Backing up for one moment, you should have all received printed materials along with your books. Those included posters for your theme, bookmarks for each copy of each book for your theme, and those are to gift to your teens, and also certificates of achievement to give to your teens upon completion of the program. If you need more copies of any of those, they are all available on that resources page. You can print them out at any time. A note about the poster file. You'll notice when we designed the poster file, we left a white strip of space on the bottom of the poster, and that's so you can customize them with any information you might need. So if you wanted to list program dates there, or an email address, or a classroom where someone would go to get more information about the Great Stories Club, that space is for that purpose. You can definitely handwrite that. If you want to just grab a Sharpie and write on the poster itself. We also created a customizable poster file in case you'd rather alter them digitally. So these are just some basic instructions. When you go to that resources page, under promotional materials, you'll see poster customizable. So when you click on that, you can place your computer cursor in that white space at the bottom of the poster that's circled in red on the right. And then you can type whatever information you want and just print that straight onto 11 by 17 paper. And that should print it with your edits. Another easy way is just, like I said, print out copies on your library printer and handwrite your text, or you can open up the file in Adobe Acrobat and edit it that way. And if you have any issues with that, you can just email us, publicprograms@ala.org. Here are some additional materials that you'll find on the resources page. There's a web banner. There's a certificate of appreciation, and that is meant to give to your partners or anyone else who has assisted you with this program, as opposed to the certificate of completion, which is for the teens. There is a sample media release form if you need one. This is based on the form that we use here at ALA for getting sign off from photo subjects if you want to include them in your photos or videos. There is a press release template and social media post templates. And of course, that resources page is also where you'll find all of your programming materials, your humanities essays, discussion questions, activity ideas, materials from the workshop, all of that. So a quick note about press coverage. Since many of you are already into your grant period, you may have already used the press release template that we made to announce your grant. If you haven't, you still can. It's a Word document available on the website. There are some just brackets where you can fill in customized information about your library and your program. You can edit it as you need. You can also write a press release from scratch. You are not required to use our templates at all. They are just there to assist you. We know that a lot of grantees work with small organizations and don't necessarily have public relations staff to help with this sort of thing. So these are just there to help you use what you need. Don't use it if you don't need to. So if you're already further along with your program at this point, just wanted to mention a couple of other times you could reach out to the press in your local area. If you're having a graduation ceremony, you could contact them to invite them to come to that. I would inform the press whether that is a public graduation ceremony or whether you're inviting them to a private ceremony just to cover it for a story. Also, try to keep your ears open for positive stories that come out of your program that might be of local interest for a feature story. Some examples, for example, if your Great Stories Club program sparks some sort of volunteerism or a community service project, if you're taking your kids on a field trip somewhere, those are all things that could make a really nice local story. So keep your local media in the loop on that. Of course, it's very important, again, I'll emphasize, to follow your organization's and your partner organization's privacy rules. So obviously, if you're working with a facility where the kids' privacy is of the utmost concern, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot of that, and that's fine. I wanted to share a couple of articles that we have come across already from members of your two cohorts. this one on the right, I'm going to, oh, my chat box has disappeared. Well, when I close my slides, I'm going to post a link into the chat box so you can watch this video. Book Club Sparks Interest for Boys and Girls Club Teens in Washington County. It's a cute little TV feature that I thought you might like to see. But I cannot access my desktop at the moment, so you'll see it in a few minutes. Finally, a couple notes about social media. As a reminder, our hashtag is Great Stories Club, hashtag Great Stories Club. Please tag at ALA Library and NEH.gov in your Twitter posts whenever possible. And here's an example from New Hanover County Public Library who did it just exactly right. Included the hashtag, gave both ALA and NEH mentions. You can see, again, the resources page on the Great Stories Club website for some sample Facebook and Twitter posts and tips and more. And again, follow the privacy rules. So don't post photos of your teens' faces if that's not allowed. Don't name your teens if that's not allowed. And I did want to share a couple of posts that I saw on Twitter that I thought worked really well. And I don't know for a fact that these two libraries are working with strict privacy rules, but just some examples of things you can do if you are not able to show your teens. Algoma Public Library there on the left took a photo from the back of the classroom. So generally speaking, and again, you'd want to check this before posting anything, but generally speaking, if the people in the photo aren't recognizable, it's probably not a problem. The guy on the left and the side view might be a little iffy, but that's always an option, is taking a room shot from further away where you don't see any faces. And on the right, obviously another good opportunity is to take pictures of the kids' work or the books that they're reading, things like that, and post that. And that is the end of my slides. Oh, and one final note, if you do get media coverage, do send them to us. We very much want to follow that, and we would appreciate hearing about it and sharing it with NEH, our funder, as well. So you can email those to publicprograms@ala.org.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay, so we have plenty of time left. I'm sure more time than we have questions. I will just get started I see a question here from Diane in the chat. It says, I have issues with press release information because my participants are in a juvenile residential center and their information is not available to release. Any suggestions? First, just we understand that some people just are not in a position to do any PR about this project, and that's perfectly okay. If you are looking to get the word out about the work that the library is doing, that you're doing, I think Sarah offered some great suggestions in terms of photography from the back. We have programs where they've taken photographs where the kids are kind of standing up, but their faces are obscured by the books that they're reading, so giving visibility to the titles. Photographing artwork and other project work is a good way around it. If you have meaningful feedback from your teen readers and you can use a quote but not attribute it to a particular individual, that's another way to do it. People have been really creative about it in the past, but if it doesn't work for you and it doesn't work for your group, then it doesn't work, and that's not a problem for us. So if anyone has anything to, feedback to share with Diane about that or any other questions, I'll just create some space for you guys to jump in. I'm loving watching Amy on the go here simultaneously in the webinar and getting business done.
Lainey, would you mind taking the slides back?
Taking the slides back. Screen share?
Yeah, the screen share. I would just like to share that link, and I can't do anything on my desktop.
Oh,
I can't access the chat.
I'm not sure how. Here, let's see here. This will stop her screen sharing. Yes,
there we
is
go.
Fine. And let's see. Screen 2. Okay, and I don't think that I'm able to see chat. So let's see here. Thanks for everyone's patience while we're trying to figure out the technology here. I think since almost everyone in the classroom has access to a microphone, we'll stick around for another minute or two, but it doesn't seem like there are questions coming in. I'm gonna, I see chat, sorry. Let's see.
We have, can you see the chat, Lainey? We do have
I can.
something from Missy. She says perhaps a local news agency could do a story with you and a representative from the organization without showcasing the residents.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
And
Diane also said, my organization is so excited about the program that they are paying for 5 to 7 extra copies each month so more kids can participate. They also bring pizza. Hooray.
That's great. Well, I have added our contact information on screen. We are here. There's another 7 months, I think, left in the grant term. Please reach out if there's anything that we can do to support you, and or contact your colleagues on the list. And feel free, if you have the time, to just check in and let us know how things are going. We love to hear from you and love to hear about your programs. Thank you, everybody.